Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. We are discussing religious reform and public debates, and in it, we have already discussed the issues. What are the various issues that had erupted or that had emerged in India around the religion? Second, we have discussed in this how print affected these debates, how print directly shaped these debates. Third, we discussed what was printed by the reformers and how was it encountered by the Hindu orthodoxy, and we also discussed what was the fear of Muslims in North India and or how they did to tackle it, this the fear that had been created, that had been emerged, how this fear was overcome by the Muslims, how it was tackled by the Muslims of North India, especially the scholars, ulamas, and we also now we are going to discuss what Hindu society printed. Till now we discussed various things. We discussed in last video lecture how the Muslims of North India, how they responded to this print, how they responded to the changes, to the challenges that had come up because of the fear of the colonializers having tried to bring the changes in Muslim society too, and how the Urdu was used by the Muslims in their battle, how it was through Urdu print, how Muslims finally fought this battle. And now today we are going likewise the Muslims, Hindus also, they also were encouraged by this printing. Printing encouraged Muslims. Sorry, printing encouraged not only Muslims but also Hindus. And printing encouraged Muslims as well as Hindus. And these Hindus who were encouraged by the printing, they started reading religious texts. उन्होंने मजहबी किताबों का जो है उनको पढ़ना शुरू कर दिया. And this reading they did in the local languages. In vernacular languages, they started reading these Indian texts. And in this way, the first printed edition of first printed edition of Ramcharitramanas. Ramcharitramanas was the first edition that was published of this Ramcharitramanas, which was earlier written by Tulsidas. Tulsidas had written this Ramcharitramanas, and this was later on in 16th century. This text was in 16th century. This text, that is Ramcharitramanas, it was started publishing or printing once again from Calcutta. इसको print किया गया कलकत्ता से, from Calcutta in 1810. So in 1810, Ramcharitramanas was published. It was printed by the Hindus. Its first edition was printed by the Hindus who started reading the religious texts in the same period. Therefore, its first publication was printed. It was first printed or published in 1810 from Calcutta. So this was about the first important thing which the Hindus printed. Uh, so and it was found that cheap cheap lithographic, likewise, as we have earlier seen that Muslims they established lithographic presses. Same way, these Hindus they also established this cheap lithographic presses. Cheap lithographic presses were established by them, were set up by them, these Hindus, in the mid 19th century. And these cheap lithographic presses they published cheap editions. उन्होंने सस्ते editions जो है publish कर दिए. And in this way the markets of North Indian markets, they were flooded with the large number of books. इस तरह से नॉर्थ इंडिया के मार्केट्स में एक सैलाब जैसा किताबों का देखने को मिला इन चीप लिथोग्राफिक प्रेसेस की वजह से, एडिशंस की वजह से. And it was in this way that efforts were made by various people to establish the presses, to spread the presses in India. And another important two persons who played very important role was Naval Kishore. Two important presses. Naval Kishore Press was established at Lucknow. Very important press that was established in Lucknow, and the name of this press is Naval Kishore Press. And second important press was Shri Venkateshwar Press, and that was established in Bombay. So two important presses which were established. One important press was Naval Kishore Press, and this press was established at Lucknow. And second one was Venkateshwar Press, and this press was set up in Bombay. And through these two presses, large number of religious texts of Hindus, they were published in, as I earlier told, in vernacular languages, the languages which were spoken in India at that time. In these languages, religious texts were published from these two presses. And now these religious texts which were published, they were religious texts which were published from these presses, they were now very their print was they were having best printers. They were printed very well, and their portable form was also good. So their printed form and portable form, both these forms were good. इनकी शक्लें जो थी printed और portable जैसी, वो सब अच्छी दिखती थी. And now earlier the manuscripts which were earlier used by the Indians, having large number of problems attached to them, now these problems were no longer associated with the reading. So these religious texts now they could be easily read by the new people, by the new readers at any place and at any time. इनको कहीं पे भी अब पढ़ा जा सकता था. ये जो मजहबी लोग थे जो इनको पढ़ते थे वो इनको कहीं पे भी पढ़ सकते थे, और जहाँ पे भी उनको लगता तो वहाँ पे वो जो है वो इन टेक्स्ट्स को ले जा सकते थे अपने साथ. Since these texts were no longer fragile, they could be handed over at any place, they could be read by the people at any place and at any time. And now because of this thing, these texts, religious texts, now they reach to a large number of people, to large groups or large groups of people or large number of people. And these large number of people to whom the religious texts reached, now it included both literate people and illiterate people. Now illiterate men and women were now able, if not they if they could not read these books, these texts, but the people who know the reading, they use it to read out these books for the illiterate men and women. In this way, not only the literate section, not only the literate people enjoyed this reading of books, but this was also enjoyed by illiterate section of the large number of illiterate section of the society who don't know the art or the science of reading. So they also enjoyed it, they took its, and they also got entertained with the book reading by the literators. And this is how the Indian people with the passage of time got benefited with this printing press, with this print and this culture, print culture. So it is also, we can say that print culture in a way spread in India very fastly. And with this, as the religious texts, as these religious texts, they reach to large number of people, they reach to a wider circle of people. Now these religious texts, they encouraged, these religious texts encouraged debates, discussions, and also controversies, and also controversies within and among different religions. So the, you can say, negative impact of this print on India was that though these religious texts which were published, which were printed by these cheap lithographic presses which were set up with the passage of time in 16th century in India, though these could now reach to a large section of people, but these religious texts now encourage debates. Now people, these religious people, religious scholars, they started debating upon various issues like untouchability, like monotheism, and other things, and this supreme position of the Brahmins, and they started discussing these issues. This also encouraged controversies. There were controversies, there were conflicts, not only within the different religions, but also among डिफरेंट रिलीजन्स. ना कि रिलीजन्स के अंदर जो है कंट्रोवर्सीज होनी शुरू हो गई, बल्कि रिलीजन्स की, बहुत सारे रिलीजन्स के बीच में जो भी है उनमें भी रिलीजियस डिबेट्स, रिलीजियस डिस्कशंस, कंट्रोवर्सीज जो है होने लगी. एंड दिस वाज टू सम एक्सटेंट, आई फील it was to some extent negative impact of the print on India. And also lastly we can conclude that print, no doubt this print stimulated or it increased the publication of conflicting views. No doubt it facilitated the publication of conflicting views or opinions amongst different communities. अगरचे conflicting opinions जो है वो बहुत जल्द लोगों में, बहुत सारी कम्युनिटीज के लोगों में जो है कन्फ्लिक्टिंग व्यूज इसने खड़ा कर दी. बहुत सारे पब्लिकेशन के थ्रू बहुत सारे कन्फ्लिक्ट्स उठने लगे, कंट्रोवर्सीज होने लगी कम्युनिटीज में. बट दिस प्रिंट, इट्स this positive impact of the print was that it connected or it linked communities and people in different parts of India. So the negative, although you cannot deny, हम इस चीज को नकार नहीं कर सकते हैं कि प्रिंट की वजह से कन्फ्लिक्टिंग व्यूज, कंट्रोवर्सीज, डिस्कशंस, डिबेट्स कम्युनिटीज में चली गई, हाँ, कम्युनिटीज में होने लगी. बट इसके साथ साथ इसका पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट ये रहा कि इट कनेक्टेड कम्युनिटीज. इसने बहुत सारी कम्युनिटीज जो है उनको कनेक्ट कर दिया, और साथ साथ इट आल्सो लिंक्ड द पीपल इन डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया. जो भी कम्युनिटीज बहुत सारे इंडिया के पार्ट्स में रह रही थी, उन कम्युनिटीज को इसने जोड़ दिया और लोगों को भी जोड़ दिया. बहुत सारे हिस्से में, बहुत सारे पार्ट्स में जो लोग थे इंडिया में जो रहते थे, उनको कनेक्ट कर दिया. एंड these newspapers, ये न्यूज़पेपर्स थे जिनके थ्रू ये न्यूज़ लोगों तक पहुंचाई जाती थी, through these newspapers now news is spread. न्यूज़ स्प्रेड होने लगी हैं, खबरें लोगों तक पहुंचने लगी हैं. स्प्रेड फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर, एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जो है खबर पहुंचने लगी हैं, इंफॉर्मेशन पहुंचने लगी. एंड this print also, because of this print, because of these newspapers, it created pan Indian identities. जो पैन इंडियन आइडेंटिटीज है कि हम सब एक ही कंट्री के रहने वाले हैं, यू कैन से दिस इज द फीलिंग ऑफ नेशनलिज्म. The feeling of nationalism was promoted by the print. So it is another important positive impact of the print. No doubt print on one hand gave rise to discussions, debates, controversies, conflicting views. It circulated among the different communities, among the different people. But on the other hand, the positive impact of this print was that on one hand, this connected, it linked different communities and different people who were living in different parts of India. It connected them, not only linked them together, it also through these newspapers, now news could be reached, news could spread from one place to another. And with that, there was also the rise of nationalism in India. It gave a concept of nationalism or unity among the Indians. The feeling of oneness started emerging, or it emerged among the Indians because of this print. So with this, the topic, that is religious reform and public debates, it ended. I hope that you have understood this topic well. Thank you.